And a very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube, the place to be as we gear up for a big game weekend, Goon. The Super Bowl on Sunday out in Las Vegas. You know, I'm thinking there's an outside chance, remote chance, that there actually may be some debauchery this week out in Las Vegas.
Could be.
I just have this gut feeling.
Well, if the guys
just a little bit,
if the guys didn't get it out of them at that the exceptional Pro Bowl skills competition this past weekend in Orlando, then they can just go let some steam off in
flag football.
I mean, I watched that for.
It's coming to the Olympics.
It was.
I did not watch it at all.
Wait, what? It is, isn't it?
It is.
Oh my goodness. I do remember that. Oh my goodness!
So I have a question about that. Let's start there because I was watching.
Hold on. What's the story about Jack Youngblood in the Super Bowl?
Jack Youngblood in the Super Bowl
for the Rams when he played the Steelers in 1980.
With
a broken leg.
Yeah.
And he played the next week in the Pro Bowl with the same broken leg.
Yeah.
And now we have guys who won't even play, that they have to do tug-of-war competitions because the game is so unwatchable.
Well, yeah.
It's ridiculous to think about that.
It's a silly game to play.
But I never knew the Youngblood actually hit. I know the Super Bowl story.
Yeah.
But I never knew that 1 week later on the same broken leg, the non-weight bearing, that's what everybody constantly says. I don't care. You still have a broken bone in your leg. He played the Super Bowl and then, played in a Pro Bowl where guys don't play with a hangnail now.
So they're putting flag football in the Olympic Games, and I'm not exactly sure. I think actually it may have been a discussion they were having on Fox Sports about it, and they were surprisingly advocating that, no, this is good because part of what the Olympics are trying to do is generate young viewership. And I'm listening to it, and they may very well be right. I'm not even disputing what they're saying, but are young people gravitating toward watching, not playing? They're gravitating toward watching flag football? Are you aware of this?
No. I mean, where do the Olympic trials take place? Who's competing in these flag football Olympics?
Well, it'll be interesting because I do think you'll end up having NFL, maybe even some of the NFL stars.
Current NFL guys or like former?
My guess is you will end up, as this thing moves forward, having current stars. So you have a chance to compete in the Olympic Games for your country. Now, there's going to undoubtedly be some navigating of the contracts and all of that. So maybe it won't be current players, but maybe college players, maybe just retired players, maybe players that are just short of the NFL, something along those lines, because obviously the Olympics will be in August here, and that's, when they're cranking up for the season and in camps and all of that. So it'll be interesting to see moving forward. But I am really curious to see the viewership numbers for a bunch of the Summer Olympic sports, both in the United States and across the globe, to see if this actually is translating into younger viewers tuning in. And they may very well be right. It just instinctively, I'm listening to the conversation. I'm like, really? Are young people gravitating toward watching flag football?
Is it on TV now? Where do you watch it?
This is what I'm not aware of it, if it is.
My opinion,
but I'm not aware of a lot of things that are going on out there.
It's a made-up American sport to get more American kids involved, but it's the Summer Olympics, so we dominate the Summer Olympics. So I don't understand. I could see, like in the Winter Olympics, they created the half pipe with the snowboards and stuff like that.
Yeah, some of the X Games.
Yeah, they took some of that because kids were actually watching that. But where are they watching flag football? Where are they? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of the Olympic sports to me, and speaking just for me, but I think they're losing a lot of the prestige because of both the number of sports that they're allowing in and then the types of sports. And listen, I'm admittedly the old white guy now, so not the target audience, I suspect, but it is especially disheartening to me to see some of these sports that I personally, I don't consider Olympic sports. Doesn't mean I don't respect, because anytime we've brought this up on air over the years with the call-in shows, and like ballroom dancing and the rhythmic gymnastics, like all of that stuff, I'm like, to me, that shouldn't be an Olympic sport. Oh, you don't know how hard it is. I'm not saying it's not difficult.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's not amazing what these folks can do. But yeah, I think the Olympics are, and I can't define it, and there's certainly exceptions to the things, but it's like strongest, fastest, wildly popular sports worldwide. Yep.
That's where I think we're lost.
And and the other thing for me is, I think that for it to be an Olympic sport, it should be something where that Olympic medal, trying to get an Olympic medal, an Olympic gold, is the ultimate in your sport. And that's why I'm not a huge fan of like tennis and even basketball with the way it is now. It's like I think most of those guys, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe they would tell you that the Olympic medal is more important, but I think most of those guys would rather have an NBA championship. And I get there's nothing precluding both and all of that. I understand that. But I don't know. It's just something that, for me, I would like to see associated with the Olympics. The other thing that just drives me nuts, and again, obviously wrestling fan, but we go from 10 weight classes in the World Championships to 6 at the Olympics. And it's not just for the United States. I mean, it is brutal for the United States, but it's brutal for Russia. It's brutal for Iran. All of the countries where wrestling is big, it's not right. Like, if anything, it should go from 10 to 12 for the Olympic Games, give more people an opportunity. But really, it should stay the same. You have 10 weight classes.
And that's the way the sport is from the day one.
Well, yes.
Right?
And the thing is, you just cannot tell me, with everything else they're allowing in the Olympic Games, that somehow the 4 extra medals, or I guess 12 extra medals for additional weight classes and 3 medals in each weight class. And I get, we'd be talking, freestyle, Greco-Roman, women's wrestling. You cannot convince me that somehow is going to be a difference maker in terms of what the Olympic Committee has to put out, the amount of time they can devote to the sport, the venue, all of that. I just, come on, just do the right thing. Get back to 10 weight classes for wrestling when we go to the Olympics. And
outside of the United States,
stuff,
is it 10 also?
Yeah, and some of this stuff should go to some of these other sports. Again, have world championships, have featured showcases, not in the Olympics. Get back to more, and again, this is just
what's the traditional sports.
What
that's
I would
what I've
like
lost
to see.
all respect for the Olympic, the Olympic Committee or whatever, the USOC, right? Is when they tried to get rid of wrestling. Like, what?
Wow.
What were you thinking?
Yeah, that was the IOC.
That
yeah.
into perspective. I don't understand why.
Well,
and we know what the world's oldest profession is, but what is the world's oldest sport?
Not to be confused.
Not to be confused. But is it not the world's oldest sport? Is that what you guys go by?
Yeah, world's oldest and greatest.
It is.
Yeah, the dear horse checking in, he took ballroom dance as a PE course at Penn State. Should have stuck with it, and he could have medaled in the cha-cha-cha. Dreams could have come true.
I don't see him as a cha-cha-cha type of guy, though. You know what I mean?
That might be a bit of a
He's
stretch.
more of a rhythmic dancer, possibly with his body type, the swimmer, what do they call the two people in the swimming, dancing in the pool?
The tango?
Oh, the people dancing in the pool.
Synchronized swimming?
Yes, there you go. So that could be being
Well, that's
you,
not
Ironhead.
ballroom dancing, though.
Well, it's dancing in the water, though, with his body
Well,
type.
just because your expertise is in synchronized swimming doesn't mean everybody
You know my go-to
with your
line is,
body type
Ironhead?
can. No.
Is people ask me what sport I play, and I always say water polo. And I said, I had to stop playing because I drowned 2 horses.
There you go.
Dad joke.
Tough
Dad
on the horses.
joke going into the season, baby.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so, I mean, in Europe, in the Middle East, in Russia and all that, where wrestling is God, is king, do they have the 10 weight classes, or they go by the Olympic?
That's
six?
what the
So
world.
it's
the world
stupidest thing.
championships are 10 weight classes. Yeah.
Is that just the Olympics trying to be the Olympics to say we're different?
Well, it was the condition to reinstate wrestling was we can do it, but we've got to reduce the opportunities. And,
okay.
And wrestling was in a tough spot. If they didn't agree, they were going to be removed. So I'm not even blaming the wrestling officials, but it's just, it's awful. I mean, it's because you're putting guys now, you're making guys who are world champions in a particular weight class now have to choose whether to go up and go down.
That's my next question.
And it's just not it's not good for the sport. And it's, to me, a huge black mark on the Olympic Games.
Yeah, I got you. So I mean, I on Twitter or Facebook or one of them, I do follow some wrestling pages, and one of them was the '92 Olympic team. The 10 wrestlers. Baumgartner was the heavyweight, all the way down to John Smith, this and that. And people were talking about, and I didn't realize, but you literally just said it. There are people who are naturally 125, 133s who either have to gain weight or lose weight. And it's like that changes their not their complexion, but their style, their whole wrestling thing. You're right. You wrestle one weight your whole life, and then you got to change up just to get into the Olympics.
Yeah.
So the worlds go every 2 years, in the Olympics they alternate every 4 years.
Worlds are every year,
okay,
and then the Olympics are once every 4 years.
So does it affect any of our guys?
With the exception of this past year. Well, yeah, it affects the entire sport.
Does David have to go up or down?
What's that?
Like weight-wise, does David?
Well, David's set, but Zane will go up this year. And
is that just good for him or bad for him? Do you think?
Well, it's not good for anybody to not be competing in the weight class that you compete in.
That's dumb.
It's not good for anybody.
That's really dumb.
So
it's like saying in the Super Bowl, you got to play left tackle. Your left tackle's got to play right tackle, and right tackle's got to play left tackle. Let's switch it up, guys. Let's go.
Yeah, so
you're not comfortable with it.
It is Super Bowl week. Dumb. Of course, the game will be on Sunday. Again in Las Vegas. Oy, what a week this will be out in Vegas. And
I think they're dealing with that weather that California is going to get, right? I think that
California's a mess right now.
Maybe clean it up a little bit,
Yeah.
Maybe it'll fall off faster.
It's a brutal situation out there.
Did you see the football field, practice field difference? So the Chiefs are at the Raiders facility, and the 49ers have been relegated to the UNLV fields, and it's in the rain.
Turf. Yeah.
So the turf is wet and sloppy and moist and spongy was the word that they said.
Yeah, very soft.
So I don't know. It's just everybody's playing into this whole the NFL wants the Chiefs, all this and all that. I mean, do you believe any of that stuff?
Oh yeah, it's all fixed. Chiefs are already installed as the winner. No,
they already said already. Like the big thing 2 weeks ago was the colors of the Super Bowl. They were purple and they were maroon, so they figured it was going to be the Ravens and the 49ers.
That was just their attempt to deceive us and to try to get us off the track of seeing that.
I know we will get to our predictions on Thursday and stuff like that. I know we're going to get down to that, but
of course,
I don't know, man. I mean, we could talk about it a little bit right now, and I'm just sitting there as a guy who may partake in a few parlays here and there. Would you bet against Patrick Mahomes? I mean, he literally, the last 3 weeks, he's completely the Chiefs in general. I've written them off two of the 3 weeks. Like, there's no way they're going to win this game, no way they're going to win this game, and they just go out and dominate. I just don't know how you can bet against Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey and this.
Not a lot of people have made a lot of money
weird.
betting against Mahomes. Yeah, it feels. Listen, I thought Baltimore was clearly the better team going into the AFC Championship game. I think San Francisco is the better team. But yeah, am I going to sit here and pick against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and that operation? And, the other, maybe we'll get into this more on Thursday, but the other discussion that I think is really interesting is the, Reid Mahomes package, if you will, coach, quarterback. And, I know getting the right coach and the right quarterback, and sometimes it's just the right time and the right circumstances, because like Terry Bradshaw has talked a couple times over the years about how Chuck Noll was not the right coach for him. They were not on the same page. It wasn't. And Bradshaw, to his credit, has said, I mean, he was a great coach. No disputing that, and no arguing that. But he wasn't Bradshaw's kind of coach. It was very much, kind of old school disciplinarian, and you gotta make the right decisions and all the things that you would expect from coaches, but not a lot of hey, that a boy, great job after a good play. Just that was what was expected.
It's your job.
And I think different eras and different coaches work well with different people, but that coach quarterback combination is just fascinating. I know, we've talked about Justin Fields, and if you put Justin Fields with the 49ers and Brock Purdy with the Bears, or Patrick Mahomes with the Bears and Justin Fields, and you can do it with any number of guys. Obviously, none of us actually know how that would work. Patrick Mahomes, there's no question, is a special talent, does special things, but also no question that when he came into the league, he came into an organization that had a terrific head coach who was hungry, a terrific offensive personnel grouping, great receivers, very good line, very good defense, right? It was all there. And no question, Patrick Mahomes came in and played pretty much from the outset at an extremely high level. But there are so many things that go into it. Tom Brady and the Patriots, we've talked about that ad nauseum. It's just, we give so much credit to, all right, this coach is great, this quarterback is great, and they are. I think by and large, the ones we're talking about, there's no question, they're all-time greats, and they're for a reason. But sometimes it all comes together, and sometimes it all falls apart. And at the end of the day, do I think there is some great ability that Bill Belichick has over a Marty Schottenheimer? No, I don't. Or Don Coryell. There are a lot of really good coaches who are really smart, know what they're doing, know how to put together game plans, are creative and all of that, but you either don't have the right personality within the locker room. I'm not talking about the coach having the right personality. I'm talking about the team makeup. You don't have the right quarterback in the right spot, or you have the right quarterback and you don't have a defense that can get you to where that quarterback and you as the coach are going to be recognized as all-time greats. I think it's just really fascinating to me, and especially in a sport like football, Goon, where it is not again, if Patrick Mahomes, you put Patrick Mahomes next season on the Carolina Panthers, does anybody think the Carolina Panthers are going to the Super Bowl?
Sure.
No. Patrick Mahomes is terrific, but he is not going to turn around the fortunes of a team like that in 1 year. You put Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes together. Let's just play out the hypothetical. They go to Carolina now. Would they be better next year? Yeah. And could they get to the Super Bowl in fairly short order, make the right additional personnel moves and everything? Possible. But again, it just all kind of came together. And listen, what they're doing to sustain it is remarkable. When the Patriots run ended there, right, what were we all saying? And I was leading the charge. I'm like, we're never going to see that again in the NFL. Well, 5 years later, it's like, okay, well, I don't think we're going to see it again after the Chiefs run ends. So, the whole never say never. Dan Gable, when he was coaching the Iowa Hawkeyes in the 80s and 90s, we're never going to see anything like this in college wrestling again. And now here's Cael Sanders and the Nittany Lions. So, again, the old never say never. But what they are doing is really, really difficult and really, really impressive.
Absolutely. I mean, I said it last week, and that is that the San Francisco, the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid is the Philadelphia Eagles in the mid-2000s, but he has Mahomes.
Closing the deal.
He had McNabb in Philadelphia. You had a very good workable defense. You had okay receivers, but he had 1 year they had a big receiver in T.O., and look where they go. They go to the Super Bowl. So Andy Reid obviously was 0-5 in the NFC title game. So when he does get released, or 1-5, excuse me, because he went to one Super Bowl. But then, he going to the Kansas City Chiefs, and then he has. I'm in my head. You were talking, and I was thinking, who did Mahomes replace? Do you remember?
Was it Alex Smith?
I'm pretty sure it was Alex Smith. So there's a guy right there. So Andy Reid saw something in Mahomes to get him out there and playing, because the guy just makes plays. I've never seen anything like it. Are you? You're what, 2-3 years older than me, so I don't remember Fran Tarkenton. But I do heard that he's absolutely insane running around and stuff like that and making these bizarre throws and bizarre. Yeah. That's the thing you cannot. Like, Lamar Jackson is an unbelievable runner, but he cannot make those throws that Mahomes makes and those weird, his football IQ is unbelievable in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed. And so I think the discussion, stuff. And obviously longevity plays into it here. So you got to see, Mahomes do it for a few more seasons, which presumably he will. But I do think at the end of the day, he is on the right track to go down as the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL. Yeah, but so I'm not talking about most accomplished. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we get into, and for whatever it's worth, and again, these discussions at the end of the day are fairly meaningless and pointless. And I understand that, but that's what a lot of sports are. And that's certainly what sports fans are known for, is let's discuss and with passion meaningless topics and get to the bottom of what we think about them. And so kind of like what I was saying with coaches at quarterbacks, like Dan Marino to me is right there with the all-time greats. I think he is as good of a quarterback as has ever played the game. Right there with Tom Brady, Joe Montana, John Elway, whoever you think is the greatest, I would put Marino right there with them. Not as accomplished, doesn't have the Super Bowl ring, a ring, let alone multiple and all of that. But Marino was just a really special talent and had a really special arm.
But no Super Bowl, does that change your opinion of him? No.
So
I don't.
For me,
so.
No. But see, I think it does. I think most people would not put Marino up there with like Elway, Brady, Montana because of the rings. But so both Montana not throwing an interception in the Super Bowls, and like his numbers are through the roof, and which is the same thing with Mahomes in terms of his statistics getting better in the playoffs than what they are in the regular season. Like that is instinctively absurd, right? Because you during the regular season, you get to play some games against sub 500 teams. Not so much when you're in the playoffs, right? You're playing the best of the best. That's why they're there. And for your numbers to go up and improve is truly astounding. And, I think obviously speaks volumes about his ability to rise to the occasion when it is needed. But the thing, so like if you compare unfairly, by my own admission ahead of time, but athletically, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Patrick Mahomes. Right? Mahomes is the best athlete of the three.
Mm-hmm.
You want to throw John Elway in there. What Mahomes can do is
Elway didn't have the weird throws. He just had a cannon.
Yeah, big time cannon and really good decision making when it mattered and accuracy and the whole bit. But Mahomes can beat you so many different ways, and I would argue is more creative. Montana was pretty creative. I think he could adjust during the play extremely well, maybe as well as anybody in the history of the league. But his creativity wasn't on the level of Patrick Mahomes. Now, again, Mahomes has to do it for a few more years, but I'm saying he is on track, I think, to go down. And I think many people, because of the Super Bowl titles, put Brady as the all-time greatest. And he is certainly on the short list of quarterbacks that you would discuss as all-time greatest. But, again, I think Patrick Mahomes can do more to beat good opposing defenses than Brady could. What Brady did was unbelievable. What Montana did was unbelievable. But Mahomes has a different level, to me, of that wow factor and the situations where I'm not sure I've ever seen anybody do that before type of plays. And so, again, we'll see how it plays out. And there's work to be done for sure this season and moving forward. But again, I mean, it was 5 years ago we were talking about you're never going to see anything like what we saw here with the New England Patriots ever again. And here we are. And listen, again, a long way to go and a lot of things that could or could not happen. But I mean, it is possible as we sit here right now, like it doesn't seem far-fetched that Mahomes could end up matching or even surpassing Brady's postseason numbers and like Super Bowl rings, right? Like that, that doesn't seem impossible as we sit here right now. And 5 years ago, I would have told you that is impossible. Nobody's going to do that.
You think Andy Reid has 5, 6, 10 more years left?
Well, so that's no, I don't. And I
do not either.
Yeah. And so I do think that's going to be a very interesting dynamic if and when, assuming we're right, and I think we are, that at some point within the next, I don't know, I'm thinking 3 years, Andy Reid is going to say, man, this was a lot of fun, fantastic, time to
this
now,
is the Chiefs' fourth, right?
We could be wrong. Yes.
They're 2-1.
So if and when that happens, yeah, who is that next coach, and what does that dynamic look like? How much does it change the equation?
Yeah, but it goes in the you're going to see then. I mean, what have we been talking about the last 3 years now? Was it Belichick or was it Tom Brady? I mean, that was a big question. And people were like, oh, they're so good together. I want to see Tom Brady win without Belichick. And Tom Brady went out and did exactly what he did. He won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And Belichick got fired this year, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
You know, he lasted 3 years without Brady, maybe a fourth, I don't know. But I don't think they even made the playoffs. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the question. Is it Patrick Mahomes? Is it Andy Reid? Who knows? I don't know what's going on.
And again, I think it's a combination. And it's also having the right other pieces. Like Travis Kelce is, just like Gronkowski was a big part of the equation there for Brady and Belichick. You take Travis Kelce out of the equation. Impossible to know, but I think it certainly has a different feel to it. Put it that way, and we may find that out next season. We'll see. Travis is is getting up there, and after he proposes to Taylor, they may just decide to settle down here in the off season and start their family.
He's the same age as Gronkowski.
Yeah, you were
Gronk's
saying
been on the
that.
league 3 or 4 years now, so
unbelievable.
He's making punting and kicking commercials. So, and then we got to start talking about the 49ers taking that mantle over. Brock Purdy is just. The fact that people give him any kind of crap about being a game manager or this and that, after what he's accomplished in the 2 years he's been in the NFL, are you kidding me? This guy's been unbelievable for the Mr. Irrelevant. Come on.
Yeah,
that's even lower than when Tom Brady was drafted.
This is very true.
It's amazing. It's crazy. So, yeah, we'll hit a little break up. We'll come back.
Yep, we'll take a break here. We are back with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We'll talk a little Penn State wrestling, just this once. I'm going to go ahead and break down and talk a little wrestling as we continue with our Tuesday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are coming to you live from Quaker Steak and Lube.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, hands it, busboy. Your wings suck. I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back in here on this Tuesday. Penn State Wrestling.
They're not bad.
The Intermat rankings came out this morning, and Penn State now has all 10 wrestlers, all 10 starters in the top 10 in their respective weight class, 9 in the top 7, and 5 starters now ranked number 1 at their weight class, and 6 in the top 2. That is a pretty strong and balanced lineup that the Nittany Lions have put together. I've had a couple of people ask about the situation with Iowa, both with the gambling situation,
Okay.
and with the loss to Michigan, and now the Hawkeyes trying to, will host Penn State on Friday night, trying to bounce back from that Michigan loss against Penn State. Listen, and by the way, Ohio State wrestled a really good match against the Nittany Lions. Like, I think that final score is deceiving in terms of the dual meet score, in terms of how difficult that match was. And listen, Braden Davis is up to number 2 in the rankings this week. That is obviously fantastic from Penn State's perspective. I do think that he should have suffered his first loss of the season. Kilcarry, to me, had the takedown. I was surprised, to say the least, when they reviewed it and did not change the call to a takedown.
I couldn't hear. Watched it. Couldn't believe what I saw.
Yeah, they said it was still reaction time, and that he never had complete control. I'm like, I don't understand it. Now, at the end of the day, and Kilcarry, of course, beat Davis at the Pittsburgh Classic back in the spring. So you knew that was a match that could go either way. It was interesting. I did see McCrone is still the wrestler they're ranking for Ohio State. And I don't know if Ohio State has made any official proclamation regarding what they're going to do at 125 moving forward. But I found it interesting. Brendan McCrone is the wrestler ranked for Ohio State still this week at 125. Excuse me. But so for Penn State right now, this team, and they're not looking at it this way, and I understand that, but ultimately this team is in fact pursuing history. Whether or not they can get 10 All-Americans, which again has only happened once before, whether or not they can break the scoring record of 170 by Iowa in 97. Those are the things now that this team is pursuing. And I think when you start to look at the matchups here, there are good matchups. Iowa, I think, realistically can go into this dual meet thinking, listen, if we wrestle to our capability, we think we can win 4 or 5 bouts here against the Nittany Lions. I think Penn State can legitimately go into this thing and say there's no reason we can't win all 10 weight classes. 125, in my mind, is still a toss-up. Now, I know Braden Davis is now ranked 2nd in the country. Drake Ayala, who lost a tough one to D'Agostino of Michigan last week, is down to number 7 in the Intermat rankings this week. The 125, again, to me, is just as wide open a weight class as I can remember seeing in a long time. I think Ramos is rightfully favored. Matt Ramos of Purdue is number 1 right now, and I think probably would be the betting favorite. But I think there are at least 10 guys at that weight class where it's if they get hot, I could see them winning the national title. I mean, Drake Ayala, certainly Braden Davis. You start going down the list there, and it's I could see that guy getting hot, winning head-to-head matchups. I think Braden Davis is probably capable of beating anybody in the weight class, but I'd say there's probably at least 7 or 8 guys, at least, that are certainly capable on a given day. And we saw it with Kilcarry. There's not a great separation between a lot of those guys that are in the top 10, 15, maybe even at 125. So I think for this Penn State Iowa dual meet, 125 is a big one for for both teams, certainly for the Hawkeyes, if they're going to pull off what would be the upset of the year in college wrestling, like that is a weight they have to have. 133 is interesting because Aaron Nagao will be favored. He dropped one spot to number 6 now. But I think, now he feels vulnerable, right? And I think, again, Iowa goes in saying, yeah, if Schreiber wrestles the way he's capable of, we can win this one. Obviously, 41, you have the top 2 guys in the country. They flip-flop their spots this week, and Bo Bartlett is now number 1 and Real Woods 2. That is obviously could go either way with those top 2. And listen, Real is for real despite the loss last week. And I don't know, I know there's some internet speculation that he was had the flu. I mean, I don't know. I do think wrestling is one of those sports, and probably most sports are probably like this, but right, what happens on one day doesn't necessarily portend anything that would happen a month later, even a week later, sometimes even a day later, right? Like a match, you get up big with one throw, and now you can get a 7-point throw. Well, Michigan took, a 6-0 lead in that bout. Well, it changed the complexion of it. And I'm just saying, I think if those two met again, it could be a major decision for Real Woods. And I think, again, there's a lot of matches you could say that about all throughout college wrestling. So I wouldn't read too much into that one performance, whether or not there was illness or not, right? Whether it was just an off day. Real Woods versus Bo Bartlett is going to be a big-time bout, and one of those bouts that can go either way. I think 49 is a weight that can go either way, and I think Iowa goes into this thinking that 57 and 65 are both winnable bouts as well from Iowa's perspective. Now, I think, I don't know that they go in with the mentality that, yeah, we're going to seed those final 4 bouts, but yeah, I mean, Penn State is going to be a strong favorite in the final 4 bouts, and we'll be expecting a bonus points there. But I think those first 6 weight classes, again, I think most of them Penn State is favored, but I don't think it's by a ton. And just like we saw Michigan kind of get on a roll, I think if you're an Iowa fan, right, or you're in that Iowa room this week, it's like, man, if Iowa wins and we can pull off an upset at 33, look out. Maybe we can get momentum going on our side. And Carver Hawkeye is certainly a place where we have seen momentum roll, right? Like that place, when it is rocking, is as tough a place as there is in college wrestling, no question. It's about 16,000, a little over 16,000.
BJC type size.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's close to that. It might be a little less, but it's right in that neighborhood.
Is it specifically built for wrestling, or is the best?
No, they do. Yeah, they do all of their.
Okay, so
it's not specifically built for wrestling, but yeah, it's a neat arena. You go in and then it's built down. So it's a neat. To me, it's just a really neat facility, and it'll be packed. And again, if they can get, let's say, 2 wins in those first 3 bouts, I think, again, that place will be energized. Now, what happens in the next 3, then, I think is going to dictate, what kind of a night it's going to be ultimately for both teams. But when is the last time any team anywhere went into Carver Hawkeye saying it's even within the realm of possibility that you could sweep all 10 bouts? And again, I'm not predicting it. but listen, you look at it. If you go by the rankings if you go by the rankings right now, the only weight where Iowa would be favored, I think I'm right about this. I may need to double check this, but I think it would be 165 if you go just by the rankings. And I don't think there's anybody. I don't even think the most diehard Iowa fan is like, oh yeah, Caliendo's the favorite over Messenbrink. But Caliendo right now is ranked 6th and Messenbrink 7th at 165. I think I'll double check that during the break. I think that is the only weight class at the moment where Iowa has the higher ranked wrestler. Now, again, we saw with Michigan, Iowa, the rankings don't necessarily mean a doggone thing in terms of the outcome of a particular bout.
Was that a looking forward?
Yeah, I wonder about that. I'm sure Iowa would tell you no, but I do wonder if they weren't training through that weekend a little bit. And I had some folks suggest to me that they think Penn State looked a little flat and was likely training through as well. I mean, I don't know for sure on either count. I think with Penn State's situation, my take on it anyway, I think Ohio State just did a phenomenal job of scouting. And what Ohio State did really, really well was the hand fighting and tying up on the hands and the wrists of Penn State in the neutral position and really making Penn State have to work to get in on the legs, to get a takedown attempt off. I think it was a good match at this time of the season for Penn State to get to see that strategy and to be able to make some adjustments moving forward. But to me, I think the performance or the result of the Penn State-Ohio State match had a lot more to do with Ohio State and how well it wrestled versus anything in terms of a poor performance by the Nittany Lions. And again, I would say you're probably a pretty spoiled fan base when you're not happy or not satisfied with a 28-9 victory in a dual meet. And again, I'm with you. I think Braden Davis probably rightfully should have a loss. And yes,
what is it program wise? What's the feel?
I think that they feel good. It is the one thing that they do a great job of and have from day one with Cale is and his staff and Casey and Cody is, regardless of how good or how bad an individual or a team may look in any bout or any meet, it's like, hey, awesome learning experience, and let's get back to the room and work and have fun and get ready for the next opportunity to see what we can do. And so, I don't think there's, and I don't think, I mean, if Ohio State had shocked the world and upset Penn State, I don't think Penn State goes into the room this week panicking or, I mean, they'd be disappointed in the loss, but I don't think they're going to be sitting around oh my God, the world's, it's going to be all right. Well, let's get back to work and figure this out, and we'll get there at the end of the year. And I'm telling you, if they shut out Iowa, if capital I, capital F, not expecting it, not predicting it.
Ooh.
If that happens, I'm telling you, they're going to enjoy it, right? That is, I'm guessing that's never happened. I'm going to have to look that up. I don't think. Well, I know it's never happened at Carver Hawkeye. They have not lost money at Carver Hawkeye, let alone. But I'll have to look. Certainly, Iowa has not been shut out in since the late 60s on. Now maybe somewhere back in there, maybe, but I'm wondering if that program has ever been shut out, let alone at home. But I'm telling, even if that were to occur, there would be a momentary celebration to be like, okay, awesome, great job, and then it's like, man, that guy rode me for 30 seconds. I got to figure out, what do I need to do, coach, to get, man, I couldn't get in on that one takedown at the end of the second period. What do I need to do to fit it? It's just the mentality of, hey, let's keep it moving forward, trying to figure out how to get better with each day, and then ultimately each match.
My feel has always been, every time I watch wrestling with somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, and I barely know what I'm talking about, and I'm always like, just step in the background. And you have Cale. Never too high, never too low, never jumping out, going crazy. And then you look at the Brands brothers, and they're literally told to stand behind their chairs because they're not allowed on the mat. It's amazing, the difference in the two of them. And I'm the outside guy looking in here, so I'm sitting there saying, the brands are pushing those kids hard this week, probably to the detriment of that team. And it wouldn't surprise me with what you're saying could happen and might happen. My Lord. But could you imagine people leaving that arena? Those people.
It would be
their daughter was taken, abducted, and gone forever. That is their baby. I mean,
it would be very tough.
Yes,
it would be very tough.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Well, yeah.
But in double-edged sword, that would galvanize, I think, Iowa for the Big Tens and then for the Nationals too. So I'm sort of that ilk right now that maybe both teams were looking ahead the next week. And Ohio State came out ready to go the other night. I mean, that was up in the air the first 2 or 3 matches. I mean, that first match goes the other way. I mean, the way it actually should have, in my opinion. I mean, it's good to get those calls every once in a while, by the way. And I have some Ohio State fans on my social media stuff, and to hear them crying and complaining is absolutely hilarious. That they get the Kale like he's Michael Jordan, the Kale rules. Kale gets this call, Kale gets that call because everybody's scared of Kale. And Kale's the greatest, and they have to get every call or he gets upset, and it's not good for the sport. And you're just like, dude, this is actually pretty cool to be on that side of it. It's actually pretty fun watching them completely melt down. But you can see why. There's no doubt. I mean, there was definitely that was a W, I think, for them off the get, and then they won the second match, right? So they'd have been up 6, maybe 6-7-0. That's huge, and you got to come back from that, and then all of a sudden, 2 matches later, it's 9-3, and it's like, oh, okay, wow. Ooh.
Yeah. I listen, college wrestling this season. So there's a couple of interesting things going on. So Bo Bartlett and Real Woods flip-flopped it at 141. The wrestler who started the season ranked number 1 is still number 1 in 7 of the weight classes. The first 3 weight classes are where we've had some changes. 125 has just been, again, wild topsy-turvy. 133, there's been some changes.
We have somebody in there now.
Yeah, and then 141 had been Real Woods all season with Bo Bartlett number 2 all season, and now they have flip-flopped, and we'll see what happens here Friday night. Again, I think that's a coin flip of a bout, and I think that is a bout we will see 2 more times this season after Friday night with more on the line. And I don't think there's a whole lot to choose from between those 2.
I got to know, do you walk in with the team?
Well, yeah. I mean,
to the locker room from outside, you walk around the mat, and then you get changed up?
Yes.
Do you walk in with them?
I usually don't walk into we walk into the arena. I walk into the arena with them. Nobody's around. I mean, so this year, the weigh-ins are 2 hours before before the meet starts. Yeah, so we actually are usually getting there almost 4 hours before the meet begins because they need a couple of hours. A couple of the kids need a couple hours just to make sure weight's all right and takes a little time to get over there. So it's a process this year. I mean, it's always been a little bit of one, but with the hour weigh, it was not quite as big of a chunk of the day. So, yeah, going to the arena is not like it's kind of just a silent affair.
As an ex-athlete, there is nothing better in this world than to walk in an arena and these people are just hammering you, just on you, yelling at you. Yelling at your mom, your girlfriend, your sisters, and this and that. And then 3 hours later, you walk out, and you just look around there, and there's no one there, and you just took their heart and their soul. And I can see, having dealt with Iowa, and they're great people. I really do like Iowa people in general.
Iowa and Penn State
are very similar.
Are very, very similar.
Respectful, but yet very passionate. Got a couple clowns in there that you have to worry about, type of thing. But my dealings with Iowa people, and they are proud of that wrestling program, and they do not like what has gone down in the last 10, 12, 13 years. And this might just be the final nail in the coffin that they go out there and they shut them down. Oh.
Well, it will be interesting to see what happens here in the postseason because, listen, I think Michigan is coming on. And I think Ohio State, Ohio State, the next couple of years is a program that certainly with the 6 freshmen that were in there in that dual meet this past week, this past Friday, that is a team that, again, I think can make some noise this year, but I really think over the next couple of years, it is a team that can really become a force to be reckoned with in terms of, in the hunt for another national championship like they won in 2015. So for Iowa, it is not just at the moment, right? Like I know it's frustrating for them to be behind Penn State, but like I think the feeling right now is that they are in real danger of slipping into that 3-4 spot in the Big Ten, behind Ohio State, behind Michigan, and that is not a place. It's one thing to slip and be kind of the second best team, on a pretty consistent basis, or at least in the top 3 nationally, top 2 in your conference. This postseason, again, to me, is going to be really, really fascinating to watch. Missouri just got beat pretty handily by Oklahoma State over the weekend as well, and Missouri has spent a good chunk of the season as the number 2 team, and I think tournament-wise, Missouri is still a really dangerous team in the postseason. But that battle for, assuming Penn State stays healthy and does what it traditionally does, which is perform well in the postseason tournaments, that battle for second, the top 4 teams get trophies, okay, at the NCAA tournament. So trying to get into that top 4 is a big deal. And I think when you look at Iowa, Michigan, Ohio State in the Big Ten, and I'd throw Nebraska in there tournament-wise. You look at those 4 teams, at least from the Big Ten. Wisconsin, I think I'll be very surprised if they get in the top 4. But I think those teams would go into the national tournament saying, listen, if things break our way, right, and our guys wrestle up to what we think they can do, I think obviously Iowa thinks it can finish in the top 4. Certainly Ohio State, the way it's wrestling right now, has to believe that. Michigan, coming off the win, has to be believing that. And I think Nebraska, again, tournament-wise, that they have a couple of guys that are national title contenders, and certainly if you can get 4 or 5 All-Americans and a couple in the finals or winning titles, that's going to get you a top 4 spot at the NCAA tournament. But then now you have Missouri and Oklahoma State as well. And I think there's some other teams, North Carolina State is certainly a team that feels like if it puts things together, could be right there. And then, there's a few other teams that I think maybe a little longer shot, but I don't think it's inconceivable that they could get there, a team like Virginia Tech. So that race for kind of 2nd through 4th, I do think is going to be interesting. And listen, if Iowa does finish, and Iowa dropped, they're number 6 in the tournament rankings this week by Intermat. Now, again, it's rankings, take it with a grain of salt. But if Iowa actually were to finish 6th at the NCAA tournament, then we're going to get into this discussion, because there are some fans out there that are already calling, yep, we've got to move on from Tom Brands. And
that would
my always question is, okay, that's wonderful. Now what? Like, you get rid of Tom Brands. Who is it that you feel ironclad sure, yep, this guy will get us back to competing for national titles over a team like Penn State on a regular basis? And that's what, I mean, if you're making the move because you think you're bringing in somebody that can win national titles and can dethrone Penn State.
Correct.
By the way, Tom Brands has won national titles and is the only one other than Penn State since 2016 to win a national title. So you're replacing the one guy who has done it if you were to do this. By the way, I'll just go on record as saying I don't think Tom Brands is in any trouble this year. I think that administration knows the situation that they have.
That was a prediction.
And I think it is a good one in the overall scheme of things for Iowa.
Well, that's a great question.
But if they were to play it out and make the move, it would be really, really interesting. I mean, Pat Papalizio, who's obviously head coach at NC State, is the guy that you would think you'd at least talk to. There are a ton of Iowa grads out there who are having varying degrees of success with college programs throughout the country, but I don't know that any of them would get the fan base electrified over the announcement that this guy is coming here. I don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting to see. Again, I don't think it's this season, but listen, if Iowa were to, then follow it up with another 5th or 6th place finish and then another, I mean, at some point, I do think it becomes then, all right, maybe we do need to do something to get back into the mix here, because again, I don't think Ohio State's going anywhere anytime soon. I think Ohio State is built.
They had their lull.
Yeah, they're built for long-term success here, long-term being 5 years in this sport. But I mean, I think they're ready for a good run of being a podium team anyway, for if not this year, for the next couple of years, next 2 or 3 years anyway. Michigan has gone all in. That program, it has, when you talk about an all-out commitment, I mean, it is all chips in. They are doing everything they can to make a run at Penn State and to be the team to beat in college wrestling. And so it's going to be fascinating to watch these next, let's say, 3 years to see kind of how this plays out, both in the Big Ten and then nationally.
Michigan athletic department's going to implode within the next 6 months. So, of course, they're going to have all their chips in with the wrestling program. I think their AD, I think the whole crew is going to get canned out there. Just my opinion.
I think it is possible.
What is the feeling Brands, what do the Iowa fans, the Iowa faithful feel about it? Do they still love those two?
Well, so this is, I think by and large, yes. And this is one of the dangers.
Because they're one of them?
I keep having people send me stuff from the message boards. No, because they're wildly successful. I keep having people send me stuff. It's like, oh, you got to see this on the Iowa message boards. And it's the same stuff. If you just read the Penn State message boards, it's like, oh, man, I think Penn State's about ready to get rid of James Franklin. It's like, no, it's a handful. And listen, a handful is, in terms of the hundreds of thousands of folks that follow Penn State football, right? You're talking, the message boards are driven by what, maybe 20 people, maybe?
And I know 11 of them.
Right. And so yes, on the message boards, and that's what, I mean, I've had a couple people reach out and said, I think Brands is in trouble. I'm like, you do realize, it's 10 to 15. Well, I was going to say knuckleheads, but they even might be really smart, good people. But whatever it is, but those are the people that are saying this and that, and this has to happen. And they're not the decision makers, and they're not the folks that, again, are by and large supporting the program. I think there's a few things in play right now that, again, we'll just have to see how it plays out over the next 3 to 5 years. The resources at Iowa are unmatched anywhere, Penn State, anywhere else, in terms of what is available for the wrestlers. Again, they are selling out Carver Hawkeye Arena. No, NIL-wise. They are selling out Carver Hawkeye Arena on a pretty consistent basis. They have won 4 national titles under Tom Brands. They have been, I don't even know, I'd have to go back and look now how many times in the top 3 and as the runner-up over the last, whatever it is, 15 years here. And they are consistently really, really good. They won a national title just 3 years ago. They probably would have won 4 years ago had it been contested. And I think with this new era that we are in, you're still waiting to see how it all kind of shakes out. Don't forget, this is a program that lost 4 projected starters with the gambling scandal, or whatever you want to call it, gambling issues at the start of the season. Well, how many programs, I mean, as great as Penn State's program is, if you took 4 of the starters out, right, like it's going to have an impact. Now this, again, I don't want to go down that path. Probably Penn State might even be able to survive that and still be there, but it's not going to be, but it's going to be a lesser team for sure, like substantially. And so I think what happens these next couple of years is going to be big for that Iowa program. Like, can they maintain that kind of second, third position in the Big Ten? And again, I think there are at least 2 significant players, along with obviously Penn State, in Michigan and Ohio State. And I think, Nebraska is right there. Now, whether or not, whether they can sustain it over another 5-year period, I think remains to be seen, but I'm certainly not ruling it out. And then I think every year it feels like Wisconsin has a really nice team this year. Rutgers has had, some nice teams. Like, it feels like every year, whether it's in Illinois or Wisconsin or Rutgers or somebody else, is going to be kind of in the mix as a top 7-8 program. And so can Iowa consistently be no worse than third in the Big Ten and consistently be, at least if Penn State continues on its run, consistently be that number 2 team? And I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody knows with authority the answer to that question. I think it's going to be one of the more fascinating watches over the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years in the conference. All right, we're going to take a break here. We're going to make a pivot to basketball. We'll talk some Penn State hoops, a doggone nice week, I should say, on the road for Penn State. We'll talk some hoops as we continue with our Tuesday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. That's WFXS, Pleasant Gap, State College.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, handsy busboy. Your wings suck! I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back here to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube, a great place to come on down and watch the Super Bowl this Sunday. Yes, it's the all-you-can-eat wing buffet, and it is now officially open. And we know that because there are throngs of humans over there putting the wings on their plates, ready to consume.
I do have to say this. Speaking of wings, it just comes up on the Super Bowl weekend. You ever hear of the Philadelphia WIP Wing Bowl?
No.
With the gluttonous event that they had for like 25 years, and it's going. It's the Friday of the Super Bowl, and it's Wing Fest, and they had like Joey Chestnut was there. So historically, all these people who have gone there. But my buddy from home was one of the first of the two competitors
nice.
to do it. Yeah. And I'm up there watching. I see the Comcast Sportsnet on, and there WIP people and stuff like that. It had me thinking, we're talking about the Wing Bowl over here, Super Bowl, and the wings over here. I thought about Big Doc there for a hot second, baby. Yeah. So, I mean, I know we're going to get into the Super Bowl, so that'll be going forward. But, brother, how about the road dogs we got going on? Coach Rhodes.
Yeah, I tell you, this is one of the things I did.
Yes.
One of the things that I do think is, and this is just, again, kind of the fun of sports, right? So everybody, including me, it's like you're coming off the second half letdown against Minnesota, and it's like, oh my gosh, and now they got to go on the road, and now this season is slipping away, and kind of starting to eye up toward next year, and all right, what can they do to kind of revamp for next year? Obviously, it'll help having the year of experience and all of that, and then all of a sudden, not only do they win at Rutgers, and that one wasn't shocking that they won, but struggling the way they did offensively and still walking away with, 15-point win? That is impressive. And then you follow that up with winning at Assembly Hall over Indiana, also by double digits, and now all of a sudden it's like, holy cow! Maybe we got something cooking here. And the Big Ten is just so tightly packed together, and those two wins now, all of a sudden, it's like, well, enormous. Now if you can, and what a huge game this is Thursday. If you can take care of business here against Iowa at home, you're back to 500 in the conference, right? And listen, if you get over 500 in the conference, you're in the discussion anyway for the NCAA tournament. Now, still, the Bucknell loss, I fear, is going to come back and bite them yet. But listen, let's see how this thing finishes up. The thing to me that was really impressive about the Indiana game, because we have seen Penn State, they beat Wisconsin earlier in the year. Like, they've had impressive wins. What they really hadn't done was put together back-to-back impressive wins or performances. They've had back-to-back wins, but to win, they hadn't won in the conference on the road all season. Now, not only have you won a game, you've won two by double digits. And the RAC, I get it. Rutgers is struggling offensively, in a big way. 1 of 17 3-point shooting is not going to get it done. I don't care who you're playing. But to win in the RAC, not insignificant for this program, and then to turn around and ride the wave of that momentum and put together the performance they did in Assembly Hall against Indiana. And that was an Indiana team that knew it could ill afford a home loss. Like, it's trying to play its way into the tournament. Like, that was a devastating loss for Indiana at this stage of the season. I just think Mike Rhodes deserves a ton of credit, and this team deserves a ton of credit, because keep in mind, they won both of those games on the road, double digits, without their leading scorer. Kanye Clary didn't make the trip to either place.
It's impressive. Very impressive. I mean, what he's done, what Coach Rhodes has been got going on in there. I mean, Indiana is not an easy place to play. That is a proud program, and they're not killing it this year, but still Indiana, still a blue blood.
Yeah.
If you watch the game, the announcers had some pretty important, pretty cool things to be saying. They actually showed, like, when they came back from a timeout, they showed the 4 banners of their Indiana National Championship banners. And that's a pretty damn cool thing. And then another time, the announcer said, the color commentator said, I have never heard Assembly Hall this quiet. Penn State has people leaving this place. And he goes, I've never seen that. And I was like, hell yeah, that is great.
And those that were sticking around were booing the home team. It was a rough,
that's
rough afternoon for the Hoosiers.
Season type of changer type of thing, in my opinion, where it's like they got a ton of momentum going on right now. Hopefully they have the leadership and the experience, and I do believe that Ace has that in that he will lead this team and not let them get too big-headed type of thing and worry about the next game coming up, and then, obviously making a run in the tournament, the Big Ten tournament, and possibly vaulting into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I don't think there is anybody, and listen, there is work to be done. I understand that. Nobody is sitting here saying pencil Penn State in for the NCAAs, but I don't think there's anybody anywhere, maybe outside of the Penn State locker room anyway, that would have said after the Minnesota game last week that we would even be mentioning the NCAA tournament as we sit here on this Tuesday program. Like, going 2-0 with Kanye Clary out, like, I mean, again, at least for me, was not even a thought. Like, it's, man, I hope they could get a win, somehow eke out the one at Rutgers, take your lumps in Indiana, and then see if you can regroup. And now, yeah, I think now it's like, man, if you can keep this going.
Yep.
And listen, Iowa is in a similar situation. I mean, a lot of these Big Ten teams are in similar situations. Iowa knows, like, this would be huge for them to get a road victory. Again, doesn't matter who it's against. And they're playing well, not top of the world, lights out, but playing well. And again, there are so many teams right now in the Big Ten. I mean, Purdue and Wisconsin are, have kind of separated themselves as the two teams at the moment anyway, that are, more consistently playing at a high level in the conference. But after that, like 3 through 12 there, there is not a whole lot separating those teams. And if Penn State can get on a roll, and listen, I do think this game now is magnified, this matchup with Iowa, because you do want to keep that momentum going. I think you want to keep the fan base now. Like, now you have, because I think there were fans ready to jump off after the second half against Minnesota. It's like, here we go again. Now you've got them back. You go out and do a great job in those 2 road games. I think they're going to be back in a big way, fired up for this game Thursday night. You got to close the deal. You've got to win this game one way or another, right? Just for momentum's sake, for the fan base's sake. But if you do win this, then again, I think, man, all of a sudden the world of possibilities has opened up again here for Penn State hoops.
Absolutely. I mean, the way it looks right now, the projections for the Big Ten play-in, playoff basketball tournament that in March is that Iowa's playing games on the first day. Penn State has now moved up into what would you say, not the non-play-in game type of thing.
Yeah.
So one more game ahead of Iowa, who was in that back playing on Wednesday. I believe it's Wednesday. So that'd be a great thing to get one more step ahead of them. That's a big thing. I mean, we noticed it last year when Penn State made that run in the Big Ten title. You can't play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You can't. You got to get to that next bubble. We were there last year in that playing on Thursday. You know what? Let's get to the point where we're playing on Friday as our first game, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're not completely worn out and blown out like we were against Purdue last year in that Big Ten final. So,
but it's amazing that we're even having the discussion.
Mike's done a great job with these guys, and the guys have bought in. I mean, there's no way about it. I mean, all right, how do I say this? I mean, I have said before in this show, and I've talked to you about this. I can tell how important a guy is on a football team as a quarterback. If he's a good man, a good human, and a good leader, that when he gets sacked, multiple offensive linemen are running at him to pick him up. That means he's a good guy, and they're playing for him. Okay? The other thing that I noticed that I watch for is when a defensive player gets a sack, how many guys celebrate with him. Just hear me out. Bosa with the 49ers.
Yep.
He gets a sack. He has one guy give him a high five. That's it. It's like they know what he's there for, and that's that. So I'm looking at this team right now, this Penn State team, and they're up off the bench cheering each other, jumping around. There's a ball on the ground, dude. They're diving. They are landing. These guys are balled in with Rhodes completely, and it just goes to prove how good of a coach he is. Again, these guys have never played together until October of this year. Never. They had a couple pickup games, but they all came from different schools. It wasn't that they were recruited here to play as a team. Coach Rhodes had to put these guys together, and they had to mesh together, and now we're starting to see that the benefit of playing together for a couple months now and where they're at. And I like them. I like the team. I really do. They're playing very, very hard, and they don't get blown out. Now, don't get me wrong. Now we're hitting a lot of 3-pointers out there against Indiana. That was a huge thing, and that's one of the age-old problems with any kind of basketball team is if you're going to live by the 3-pointer, you're going to die by that 3-pointer at times. So, it'd be nice to hit 18 3-pointers every game and go from there. But I just like the way this team's playing. They really bought into Rhodes. He's a heck of a coach, good guy too. I like the mojo they got going on. I really, really do. Again, these are guys they weren't on this team last year. They didn't go to the playoffs. They didn't go to the Big Ten. They didn't go. Yep. They weren't playing Purdue in the Big Ten title. They weren't playing Texas A&M or Texas in the tournament. It's amazing what they've done.
Well, yeah, and what Nick Kern, I mean, obviously Ace Baldwin has been the straw that stirs the drink, as they say with the cliche. But boy, you talk about a guy that is doing it in every which way right now for this team. I mean, he has obviously been the key. But I look at Nick Kern and listen. It is going to be interesting, Goon, right? And I don't know if Clary's back will be back for Iowa or not, or exactly when he's coming back. But it is going to be interesting. And make no mistake, you want Clary back. So that we're clear. I understand that. But they do have a little chemistry thing going here, right? And now I think it's finding, all right, once everybody's healthy, let's kind of figure out the roles that everybody has. And right there, I mean, they should be better here even now with and if Clary comes back here Thursday night, again, I think there is, I mean, even without him, there's a possibility of getting on in a real run. But when
what's the rest of do you look at the schedule?
When you, I can pull it up here. I think in the Big Ten right now, right, like there are a number of probably 6 teams. I'm trying to think. I'll pull up the standings here too, but that are like could play themselves into an NCAA tournament team. You watch I watch the Big Ten Network in the morning a lot of times before I go in for our morning show, and like Penn State wasn't even mentioned as anything, and understandably, again, they're 3-6 in the conference. not mentioned as a team worth watching, considering in terms of NCAA tournament. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, well, they've won 2 games. But the perspective now changes completely as a result of that. And again, it's not just that you won 2 games. It's that you won 2 road games. You did so double digits, 15 over Rutgers, 14 over Indiana, and did so without your leading scorer. Like, right, that opens your eyes, and people are like, wait, what's happening here with Penn State? Well, now, so you do have Iowa again, 7 o'clock tip-off on Thursday night, and then you're at Northwestern. Northwestern's playing really good basketball, but again, Penn State right now, if they are hot from 3-point range, right? Like, I don't think there's anybody that you're like, well, there's no chance against.
I don't think Northwestern matches up because Penn State's issue is interior play.
Yeah.
And that is not Northwestern's strong point.
Yeah.
They match up well with Northwestern.
Yeah, although
but Northwestern can shoot the lights out.
Yes,
that's the thing.
and
to watch.
And Boo Buie is just a different like if that game comes down the stretch again, like,
he's
that's
been
the
there
guy.
32 years.
Yeah, but then they're back home, and you might want to circle this one on Valentine's Day, February 14th. Michigan State will be in the Bryce Jordan Center. Feels like that might be a pretty good test at that stage of the season.
Not bad.
And then they're at Nebraska, which again feels like it may be playing itself into an NCAA tournament team. Back home with Illinois, like all of these games, right? You're like, I could see that going either way. Oh, I could see that one going either way. Well, if you win a few of these games close, right, then all of a sudden you're sitting there 2-3 games above 500 in the Big Ten. And conversely, listen, it's certainly possible Iowa comes in here, wins that game on Thursday night. You go out to Northwestern, you lose that one, you come back home. Michigan State does what Michigan State does toward the end of the season. Now all of a sudden you're back, right? So it's a game-by-game mentality, but that's the whole thing. Like, that's the Big Ten, I guess every year. But, I mean, certainly this year, when you look at it, like, I don't think there's a single game here. Like, that game at Northwestern probably on paper to me seems like the most unlikely win, but that's not exactly a far-fetched win, right? That's a Sunday.
So they play Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have, again, just running through the schedule. Home with Iowa, at Northwestern, home with Michigan State. That'll be a Wednesday game. Then at Nebraska, then home with Illinois, home with Indiana.
Illinois is the rec hall game, by the way.
Yes, that's correct.
See, and that's a big time advantage for us in that game.
Yes. You got to make it pay off.
Yeah.
Like that
absolutely.
one you have to make pay off. And then again, home with Indiana after that, back at the Jordan Center. Then you're at Iowa, at Minnesota, and home with Maryland. And like all of those games, again, as well, which Penn State team shows up, which Minnesota team, which Indiana team.
We need to get rid of that moniker. Which Penn State team shows? It's sort of been
it's
now 3 staffs now. It's been the same identity.
Yeah, it's going to be.
People are jumping back on what we're saying.
Yep. But now, like this game Thursday feels huge. Now, I thought that Minnesota game felt huge at the moment, and they let that slip away. So, again, I'm done making any proclamations over any single game. But boy, does it feel like if they can win this one and then get one of those next two between the road game with Northwestern and the home game with Michigan State, that then you've at least positioned yourself to have an opportunity to do something special down the stretch this season.
So Jeff Byers has now predicted Penn State to lose their next 3 games.
I don't see them winning a single game from here on out, Goon. I think they go winless the rest of the way. It's going to be a tough way to finish the season.
I absolutely love this.
Lady Lion basketball back in action Thursday at Caitlin Clark and the second-ranked Iowa Hawkeyes. We got into a little bit of a discussion this morning. We had Charmarette Curtis on our morning show today. Of course, she's now heading up Teammates for Life. By the way, Char will be part of a special program we have coming up on Monday night. Winning Ways is the name of the program, Winning Ways, and we'll be down at Cafe 210. Jim Galani and Landon Tengwall will be heading up our coverage of that show with Charmarette Curtis and also Lady Lion basketball coach Carolyn Keeger. Again, that'll be this coming Monday, Cafe 210 in downtown State College. If you're planning to go up to the Jordan Center for that Penn State Rutgers dual meet, great opportunity to come on down and grab something to eat, enjoy some Penn State conversation, and then head on up. We'll also have a Lady Lions player or two. But we were discussing a little bit this morning, Goon. I know, obviously, there's a lot of passionate men's basketball fans in the audience, and like Zach Edey is a big name.
Ooh.
Do you think, because I do, I think Caitlin Clark right now is the biggest name in college basketball, not in women's college basketball. Do you think there's a player that is a bigger name right now? Like, I think more fans know Caitlin Clark's face than know any of the men that are playing college hoops this season.
She's up there with Livy Dunn.
Yeah, well,
I mean, Caitlin Clark has national commercials. Zach Edey is not new. You know Zach Edey because he's 7'4",
right?
And I just don't understand why he didn't go to the pros. But that's besides the point. But Caitlin Clark is unbelievable. Her persona, like how did you see how ESPN changed their broadcast the other night? They had Caitlin Clark cam on one of their televisions that just followed her, not the basket. The basket's over here. They just had her running around and doing just like it was very odd. And like some of this, you don't see this. You've never seen this before. So they're doing a heck of a job getting her name out and up there, but she's doing the right thing. A little running over the person at Ohio State was a little odd to me, but I don't know. I did hear somebody who said, anybody who has watched women's college basketball as much as we have in the last 2 years because of her?
Yeah.
I mean, she has transcended the sport a little bit to that point where I know people who watch women's basketball games because they're like, dude, this is intense. And the amount of TS that goes on in women's basketball, it's off the charts.
Oh yeah,
it truly, truly, really is amazing how much crap talk goes on and how much mind games. I mean, my little brother called me. He was like, "You got to put this LSU South Carolina hoop game on." I mean, he said it was vicious. It was like nasty, like women like beating each other. It was a very physical game and stuff like that. And he said, and then like what you said. I mean, do you ever think you get a phone call from your football coaching brother saying, hey, you got to turn this women's basketball game on? I never had that phone call before.
Yeah.
And that's due to one person.
Yep. No, it is. It's been unbelievable. Big opportunity, obviously, for the Lady Lions here on Thursday night. They'll have their turn in the Caitlin Clark and Iowa Spotlight. We'll take
she can't come here, though.
A break here and be back with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube in mere minutes.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
Since retiring, I have spent my time searching the countryside for the hottest wings in America. I always seem to end up disappointed. You call these hot? Back off, Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Look, hands, you busboy. Your wings suck. I knew I should have stuck with Quaker Steak's triple atomic wings. You think I'm tough enough?
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
Sioka Toyota of Williamsport invites you to stop in today or check us out online. We have the smart path to your next Toyota, like the all-new Crown, BZ4X, the all-new Grand Highlander, Corolla Cross Hybrids, Sequoias, and more. Over 100 new Toyotas here and on the way. Don't make a $1,000 mistake. Choose Sioka Toyota of Williamsport and see the Sioka dealership's difference. Buy or reserve yours today and see for yourself why Sioka Toyota is the only stop you need for your next new car. Sioka Toyota, it just feels right.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
We welcome you back into the Goon and Ironhead show here on this Tuesday afternoon. Again, the all-you-can-eat wing buffet is underway here at QSL.
All right, nice crowd.
Great chance to come on down and try their amazing assortment of wings. And, of course, great place to come on down and watch NHL, NBA action, college hoops, college wrestling, Super Bowl, whatever it may be. Again, great food, great beverages, great service, all right here at Quaker Steak and Lube in State College. Our thanks to Timberland Federal Credit Union as well. And a huge thank you to Lion Country Kia and to Sioka Motors for their sponsorship of the program as well. Again, lots going on this week. Just a couple of other Penn State sports notes. Lacrosse team, men's lacrosse got off to a tough start. Colgate scored with 4 seconds left in regulation and upset the then fourth-ranked Nittany Lions in the season opener. Penn State will be back at it this weekend. Penn State men's volleyball also suffering an upset loss at Purdue Fort Wayne this past Saturday, and the Nittany Lions slipping one spot to number 9 in the rankings. They'll be back home against Fairleigh Dickinson. That'll be in the South Gym at Rec Hall on Saturday afternoon at 4. And the Penn State women's gymnastics team, Goon, lost to Minnesota by a half point, but set the tied for the 6th highest scoring mark in school history with a 197.25 in that meet with Minnesota on Saturday. And it is just the 9th time in program history that Penn State has gone over the 197-point mark. So some good things happening, and that program is certainly heading in the right direction here, which is always kind of what you're looking for within any of the programs, right? You want to see that you're making progress and heading in the right direction. And again, the Penn State women's gymnastics team is certainly doing that. Men's gymnastics, a little tougher loss to Nebraska. I know Randy Jepson was not thrilled with the performance there. But listen, the Big Ten is outstanding, I guess, as it is in most sports, but I mean, outstanding in men's gymnastics. And this team is certainly capable of doing bigger and better things moving down the road. So some of the things happening within Penn State sports. Track and field team, by the way, has some superstars in the making here as well. And been putting up some very, very impressive times and numbers through the indoor season here. And they have a couple of folks that may end up on the Olympic team here this summer. Not insignificant stuff happening with Penn State track and field.
Or track and people.
Well, yeah, both. So
gotcha.
Yep. Check Trey, or if you get a chance to check him out, he is pretty special. So lots going on. Penn State hockey will be back in action this weekend, and again, talking about trying to build on momentum, right? Looking to peak at the right time of the year. Feels like they may be doing that. Have a couple of weeks to get ready here.
Yep.
For the stretch run. And much like basketball, Goon, there's still a lot that can happen here on the hockey front in the Big Ten as well. Penn State needs to make a run. I mean, they the onus is on them now with the results from earlier in the season, but it certainly feels like this is a team that is capable of getting on just such a run and riding that momentum right in through the postseason.
And he does seem to do that. He does have his guys peaking at the right time every year.
Yep.
There must be a way this week, because I think the next 2 weekends are home hockey matches. Or is there 3 straight home weekends?
No, that is correct.
They are away.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I have tickets the next 2 weekends. So, yeah, I mean, you got it. You have the 2 big matches coming up. I believe Michigan and Wisconsin are the ones that are not this weekend, but the next 2 weeks at home. There you go. That's a nice way to pick up some points right there and some momentum against the top. Who would be our hockey rival, you think? I know we always have our Ohio State thing, but Michigan always there, but Wisconsin, Minnesota.
I'm not sure Notre Dame wouldn't be. If you ask the fans anyway, I'm not sure.
I always forget they're in the Big Ten with hockey
players, but I'm not sure Notre Dame wouldn't be for hockey.
Hey, speaking of that, the Notre Dame thing, what do you think about this advisory committee going up? Well, we haven't talked about it. The Big Ten and the SEC. How about that? Oh, the Big Ten and the SEC is going to start their own advisory committee and pretty much dictate what the NCAA is going to do.
Yes. And so it makes a ton of sense.
More porridge.
Well, it makes a ton of sense, right? And I think, listen, it is really going to be interesting. Did you see Dartmouth, of all places?
Yes, unionized.
They are, yes. Looking at their student athletes have been declared employees
of the university.
Correct. And I mean, we talk about the ever-changing landscape of college athletics, but if Dartmouth's basketball team is employees, I mean, you tell me what Penn State football, Ohio State football,
so what does
these big-time basketball programs are.
Give me the nutshell. Give me the.
Well, so what's going to be interesting here, and we've talked about this, I mean, one way or another, it's either going to be forced upon them, and I suspect this is one of the big driving forces here with what the Big Ten and the SEC are doing, is, listen, we've got to get out in front. I'm looking at it from the Big Ten leadership and SEC leadership. I'm saying, I'm putting myself in that position. We have got to get out in front of the inevitable. Again, you can like it, you can hate it, you can think it's the worst thing ever, the end of intercollegiate athletics as we know it. That's fine. What I'm telling you is, it is, I think, at this point, inevitable. Like, the courts are going to force it upon you if you don't take the action and do it, that the student athletes will get some of the money that is being brought in by the TV contracts in particular, but by the stadium gates and all of that as well. That the courts are going to force them to share that money, force the schools, the conferences to share that money with the student athletes if they don't do it ahead of time.
Have you
I
heard
think
of
that
any
is clear.
numbers?
No, and
Okay.
this is where and I think that is. And truthfully, I mean, the NCAA should have done this decades ago. And, certainly when the Edo ban and stuff went down, like you should have seen it at that point that, now we have to pivot because clearly this is the direction. And nope, they just kind of stuck their heads in the sand and let's just pretend and hope that the issue goes away. Nope. Right. And so there are several moving parts. I think what the Big Ten and the SEC are going to try to do is get out in front of this and say, listen, we will offer the student athletes, and I don't know how the devil as always is going to be in the details. I don't know if it's going to be a percentage. I don't know if it's just going to be a flat, hey, every student athlete at least in our two conferences, gets X amount for, in addition to their scholarship money for their services as part of the brand that is, Penn State Athletics, Ohio State Athletics, Indiana Athletics, Rutgers Athletics, right on down the line. So the question, multiple questions. Is it going to be, all right, if you are a student athlete at Penn State, you now get, and again, I'm making up the numbers. I have no idea. Might be much higher, might be much lower, but let's just throw out $5,000 a semester. If you are a varsity athlete at Penn State, you get $5,000 a semester. Or does it go to, hey, football, you get $5,000 a semester. This sport, you get $2,000 a semester. This sport, you get $1,000 a semester, maybe down to whatever it would be. Does position factor into it? A quarterback, Drew Aller's jerseys are going to sell a lot more, right, than the kicker's jersey typically will, than the cornerback's jersey typically will. So there's going to be a lot of things that they have got to get in place and figure out. And I think, again, try to get ahead of this to try to make it where everybody is like, oh, okay, no, we're happy with this. Because the unionization component is going to be fascinating. If you have a situation, and it could happen, where let's just say college football players, it's like, nope, we haven't come to an agreement. We're going on strike this season. Then what? Where do you go? Like as fans, would that be a tipping point? Because listen, it's happened in professional sports, and people have said that's it, done with Major League Baseball. And maybe there are some people that have followed through on that, but not too many. Because when baseball comes back, sometimes it takes a year or two. There's a little bit of a lag till they get back to the numbers, but they get back to the numbers, relatively speaking. Football, all of these sports. They've gone through labor strikes, and there have been dire predictions about what it means for the sport. And it's not good. Hasn't been good for those sports, but they come back. It's not the end of them. I don't know with college athletics. To me, that feels like it's a different animal. But I've been really trying to think since reading about the Dartmouth situation. I've been trying to think that through. Would fans actually just, okay, I'm done? And I don't know the answer. I don't think anybody does with certainty right
there's
now.
So much in the air. Okay, so you're going to pay the athletes. You said 5 of the semester. I would say 5,000 a month. It's just my opinion.
Well,
that's just how I am. But I truly think that football and basketball are going to separate themselves from the NCAA. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
I do think wrestling, track, gymnastics, swimming, all of those will stay at, like you have been saying for 3+ years now. They call it the collegiate or the Ivy League route, right?
Yep.
Need-based, that type of stuff, and need-based and grants and academic grants and stuff like that. Now, okay, you're paying an athlete out of your profit share. Okay, but that has to be taken into account with the television money. So, I mean, there's, like you said, there are so many different things that could happen in this. Does a women's basketball player get as much as a Penn State basketball player, a men's basketball player? Does that happen? Does Title IX come into play? We've been saying that from the start. Where is that at?
Yeah.
How has that not been an issue here? And I still say that's why they allow the transgenders to play in their sports in the NCAA, because then they can say Title IX stuff. So that's just my opinion. What does the quarterback get? What does the offensive tackle get? What does the backup? What does a redshirt freshman? What does a redshirt player get? Who's not going to play that year? What does he get? Does he get anything? Should it be like I have said from the start? Make it, if you complete a year of your university towards your academic and you're progressing towards graduation, you are eligible. You did play a varsity sport. Maybe $10,000 set aside for you the day that you graduate. Every year that you do that, there's a $40,000 or $50,000 check for you right there upon your exit from the university. Are we just flat out just paying these guys and then saying, oh, by the way, you cannot solicit now? That's the big thing, because you got guys at USC saying I'm making them, and again, there's probably less than 50 guys that are making in the $1 million range. What do you think?
I don't think they're going to be able to limit those opportunities, those commercial opportunities, for
because of what they've allowed already.
The student athletes. Well, no, just because of the law. Like, hey, anybody can pursue.
Maybe get away from the pay for play. There's some way we have to discourage the pay for play, where they're just saying, "I'm going to give you $500,000." Because you had the NIL. The whole point of it was you have to earn it. Your name and image likeness, you could be used to promote something and this and that. That's fine. That's great as well and dandy. But again, we're literally going to talk ourselves in the corners. We have been for 3 years awaiting this, but the domino fell with the unionization with Dartmouth basketball. Now, don't put it past the Ivy League to just say, okay, no more sports. They're like that.
Yeah, it is. Listen, there's a lot of moving parts, obviously, here. I think that the Big Ten and the SEC are obviously positioned much better and significantly differently than any of the other conferences. And so I think at the end of the day, the teams in those two conferences are going to figure this out, at least in a way that works for them. The question becomes, to me, all right, does the model that they come up with work for anybody else? Does it work for everybody else? No, and we don't know. Well, we don't know. We don't know what that model is going to be. We don't know if the student athletes, by and large, are going to say, yep, we're good with this. We accept it. Let's move forward. Or if there's going to be pushback, say, nope, this isn't enough, whatever it is.
Yep.
And that, hey, that you've got to meet these demands or those demands. It's
baffling. It's mind-blowing.
Well,
thinking about all of this stuff.
Yeah, and there's a bunch. Again, there are so many different ways that this could ultimately play out, both in terms of from a competitive standpoint. Again, maybe it ends up, and I'm not predicting this, and I don't know anything, but I mean, it certainly seems like it is a possibility as we sit here today that we end up with the Big Ten and the SEC as one super league, one super conference. Maybe they invite some other teams to come in and join them for the big party. Yep.
Do they ask others to leave?
Well,
That's where I'm at.
think that's going to be
a team like Indiana wants to make that financial commitment. Northwestern.
Well, I was watching the
Illinois
Northwestern
football,
Wrestling on Sunday there, and they got shut out by Minnesota, and I'm watching that, and yeah, I'm wondering that same thing. It's like, does Northwestern, do the alumni there, do the student athletes that are going there, do the coaches there, do they really feel like there is any chance for that program, that school to compete with any kind of consistency in any of the sports regularly? And Northwestern has, I mean, their field hockey program is terrific. They have some great individual sports. I understand that. But across the board, again, football and basketball are what fuels all of this. Their basketball team's having a very good season, and Chris Collins is a terrific coach. But I am wondering, and maybe the answer is, well, yeah, dude, of course we're going to compete in the Big Ten. That's what we want to do.
Big money, yeah.
But I'm wondering, I am wondering if Northwestern isn't going to look at this, and not just Northwestern, but I think that Northwestern and Vanderbilt would be the two. I think most glaring examples of schools that you wonder whether or not they want to make the commitment to compete in this world, this age of intercollegiate athletics with the NIL, with the transfer portal. I mean, Northwestern's wrestling team got ravaged by the transfer portal. And
why was that?
I think better offers elsewhere. And so I think that you've got to see how all this plays out. Yeah, I wonder about that, Goon. I don't know. I don't know if the Big Ten conference gets in these meetings and it's like, does this really make sense keeping these schools when these other schools that are, wanting to compete at the highest levels are out there? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Purdue, Indiana, Northwestern, Rutgers football for UVA, Virginia Tech, UNC, and Florida State football.
Yep.
Would that be something? It makes our job a lot easier. We have a lot to talk about. I mean, we're sitting there right now, and we're pushing the 5 o'clock limit right now. And we have a whole conversation we didn't have. I mean, this is the future of our sports.
Yeah.
I think that wrestling, I think you guys have been that like lone ranger, not lone ranger, but like, that lone sport out in distance and stuff like that. So you haven't been spoiled by the $100 million TV deals and this and that. But who's going to keep wrestling if they're going to keep the Big Ten and keep the Big Ten wrestling and then add these schools and this and that? Do those smaller, the Olympic sports, do they make it in the NCAA, or do they stay in the NCAA and then football and basketball leave and make their own conferences? And I think that would be the easiest thing. But can you have? Let me think now.
But then you've got to figure out
who's in, what sports out, who's invited, who's not invited.
Yeah.
But then we look at a Notre Dame, like I said earlier, I keep on forgetting they play hockey in the Big Ten, but they play everything else in the ACC. So you can do other conferences.
Yeah, that's going to wrap up our show for today. We'll have a bit of a Super Bowl preview on Thursday, and then Chris Bucanani and Mike the Mailman will take it home on Thursday. We're both out of town, so we'll pre-record a little bit of a Super Bowl preview. And then again, Booch and Mike the Mailman will bring it home on Thursday. And we will be back on Tuesday, live and in person, to talk to you then.
Monday.
Until then, be good. Well, on Tuesday we'll be back. Until then, be good and be safe.